It's been so long between these podcasts. I feel like I need to turn this into some sort of phone call apology. Hi, look. Oh, I'm so sorry. I've just been so busy lately. Look, it's not you. It's totally me. You know, I've had the event. I've started a new role at work, and you know, I've been trying to spend some time with me. Do you know what that means? Do you understand how that feels? I mean, I love spending time with you. We have great fun together. We really, really do. It's just that, you know, sometimes I just need some space, you know? And this has been one of those little moments there. Look, it says nothing about you whatsoever. It's all just me and my feelings, and me wanting to grow internally, and to place my hands in the dirt and to smell the beautiful rain, and I just wanted to do that alone for a while. So I'm sorry, and I promise never to go away for that long again. I really, really promise. Okay, did that work for you? Sure, it's been a while, but it's been busy. It's been busy. But anyway, let's move on, because this is a fantastic talk I had. Oh my God. So, today, this episode, science, humour, and a brain that refuses to behave by the standard settings. My guest is going to be Sadie Dingfelder. She's a science reporter, author, and this brilliant mind behind Do I Know You?, which is her memoir, meets sort of neuroscience deep dive into face blindness, aphantasia, you know, the surprising ways our minds shape our lives. It's really, really good read. Sadie's work has appeared everywhere from National Geographic to the Washington Post. She has this incredible ability to make science, and complex science, feel like just human, funny, relatable. That's not an easy task to do. And you're just going to love this conversation. So let's not waste any more time. My Patreon page is there if anyone feels like they would like to contribute to the monthly costs that are involved in making the podcast. If they feel like buying me a lovely cup of tea, because it's just about that much. It's not a lot, but it means a huge thing for me. It just means I get to cover the costs of running this. So let's get on with this amazing chat with Sadie Dingfelder. Oh, and prepare yourself for the energy. We get stuck straight into it.
Tell me more about Sadie the Cleaning Lady.
Okay, do you know John Farnham? Have you heard of John Farnham?
No.
He's probably one of our most famous singers, and he in the 80s he had an album which was just extraordinarily popular in Australia, and it was incredible. And he got some success a little bit overseas with "You're the Voice," the song "You're the Voice," because a lot of other people sang that song. But Sadie the Cleaning Lady was when he was young, back in what I call the black and white days. Because I literally thought that the world was black and white, because I'd watched TV shows that were black and white and assumed that the world, you know. So back in the black and white days, when he was young, he did this song, which is it's a fun, silly song. So it's just Sadie, the cleaning lady, you know, and you have the lady doing the brushing and stuff. But it was a song that became something he hated in his later life, because everyone wouldn't treat him with any respect or seriousness.
Oh, because it was like one of his early just silly songs and everyone remembered it. It was a good
they were
song.
trying to sell this album that he'd made. It's incredible. It's a masterpiece of an album. It's beautiful. But yeah, they were trying to go to all these record companies, and they were saying, "What, the Sadie guy? No." And so he really struggled. But then, and it took a few years of popularity and feeling comfortable finally that he started to play it live. And people love the song. You know, absolutely love the song. It was a number one hit here.
Yeah. Wow. That's so cool.
Yeah.
In the 80s?
No, that would have been in the late 60s.
Oh, okay.
I would say.
I'm totally going to check it out, because I've heard a lot of Sadie songs, but not that one. there's a murder ballad here in the Appalachians where Sadie gets murdered. There's Sexy Sadie, which is a Beatles song.
Sexy Sadie. Oh my God, yes.
Sadie
Yes.
Sadie Married Lady is some sort of musical song. And then of course Snoop Dogg says he used to know a dame named Sadie, and I don't know what he said after. Like it was his homeboy's lady.
Oh, okay. Wow. Well, I've got Elton John because I'm Daniel, and I think there's a couple of others, but not that much. But see, my son Henry was named after one of those old murder ballads. Henry Lee.
Oh,
which
wow.
wasn't really a murder. That wasn't a murder ballad though, Henry Lee. But it was an old folk, Appalachian song.
Oh, okay, that's cool.
Yeah. I absolutely adore that music. I listen to a lot of it, and I've got that box set of the Harry Smith anthology, and yeah, it's wonderful.
I play fiddle.
Oh, you do? Okay, wow. I got a banjo, but I don't play it that much. I'd never have time to get back into practice with it.
Yeah, it's so fun to play an instrument. I just love it.
Wow. Okay, so the music you love is that sort of older folk?
You know what? Not really. I actually really love like Tame Impala. Like they're my favorite. Second favorite band, and my first favorite band is like Radiohead.
There you go.
But,
yeah, well, that's me too. Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So, and I don't really listen to much Appalachian music, but I love playing it. It's sort of weird.
Okay, that's interesting. See, here I am, all the way over here, and I'm listening to.
Yeah, you're listening to my music, and I'm listening to your guys.
And now John Farnham. So now you're going to have to explore that too.
I had an amazing experience once where I was in Moscow, and I went with my friend like to a club that was like in a different club, so it was like a secret club. And
okay, yep.
it was a bluegrass band was playing, and and singing Appalachian folk songs that I know how to play, like, but phonetically.
Oh, okay. That would be interesting.
It was wild. And so I joined them on stage, and we did, what song did we do? It was a song, a really popular song, Wagon Wheel.
Ooh. Oh, Wagon Wheel. Not sure I know that one.
You don't know that one? It's a great song. You should check it out. It's Old Crow Medicine Show, but it was like kind of written by Bob Dylan.
Oh, well, I definitely know it then. Just don't remember. I don't remember lyrics, and I don't remember names of songs necessarily.
Me either. And when my band would play, I will look down at the like set list, and I will see the name of the song, and it will mean nothing to me. Like I'm like, I guess but once you hear the first chord of the song, then I'm all set. But like if I have to start the song, like it's pretty hard.
It's embarrassing when I've written a song and I'm trying to remember what, I forget all the lyrics. That's not good.
Do you have a good memory for the music though?
Yeah. I can recall a song that I'd written when I was 13 or 14.
Wow.
And just sort of recall it back. It's just bizarre. So for music and melody and things like that, absolutely.
Yeah.
I've got
a great memory for music too, and for nothing else. Nothing.
Nothing. Yeah. Nothing else useful. That's what I often say. Nothing else useful. Yeah. Just pointless. Look, I quickly wanted to say before we went on, Billy, but I don't ever start with introductions. I actually do the introductions after you've gone, because it's boring. It's like bio, you know what you are. Your email address has just been playing on my mind ever since I saw it. Because what do you think when you see it?
So of course I think Sadie D, but other people think Sadied like it's a verb, like you've been Sadied.
Oh no, I think Sadied.
Fair enough. Yeah.
And then I thought, well, what would my email address be? And it would be Dank.
Dank.
Dank. That's not a great introduction, is it?
At some point I realized it wasn't translating, and so like my Instagram handle is like Sadie Ding, I think. And that's
okay, yeah. Now I've loved having these back and forths over the email. It was fascinating because like the whole idea of face blindness, I'm aware of face blindness only in the fact that there's a sort of well-known science
Oliver Sacks.
No, not Oliver Sacks. No,
Oh,
he's just a local guy. He's a local guy who's he's wonderful. He's a wonderful storyteller for
oh,
science and concepts of science, and wears like the bright shirts, all that sort of stuff, you know.
what's his
But
name? I totally what?
my brain will have to remember
It's
because I
okay.
now I've said that, but I will remember
Future Dan, his name is Dr. Carl Kruzelnicki.
before the end. I discovered that he was as well, and as someone who's constantly having to deal with people,
Yeah.
and I just wonder how in the world he does that. So I was trying to watch his face carefully because he was on one of these shows where they do the portrait artist of the year.
Uh-huh.
It's a British thing that's come to Australia as well, and it's wonderful.
Mhm.
But as he was coming to meet people, it's almost like a sort of an autistic thing where for me, I kind of just treat everyone the same because I'm not
Right.
sure necessarily if I've met them before or not. And so
Yeah.
it's just to pretend like we're old friends, and you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And for him, you could tell he's a little bit standoffish in
Oh,
some ways, and that the way because he's like, I'm not going to put myself in a position of being embarrassed by
yeah.
like the fact that you don't know who I am. So I'm interested to know what that's meant for you in your life, and particularly you've done similar things, haven't you?
It's so
With work.
interesting because I really do believe that there's like a bifurcation of face blind people where if you're already leaning towards being extremely extroverted, you're just going to get pushed really into the extreme because your options are to treat everyone like they're your best friend or everyone like they're a stranger kind of.
Yeah.
Um and so when I was young, I actually treated everyone like a stranger. I didn't realize, well, and then I kind of had this major kind of turning point. You're a dad, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I bet it feels like your kids are never listening to you. So this is like a good story for all the dads out there because my dad told me something that completely transformed my life and he had no idea until I wrote my book about it, which is
Mm.
that he said I ran into this. I mean, I just like brushed off some girl who knew me in a grocery store and my dad said, "Why were you being rude to Susan?" And I was like, "I had no idea who that was." And he said, "Well, if someone seems to know you, you just need to pretend like you know
Mm.
them. You
Mm.
don't
Mm.
you don't
Mm.
have to actually know anything about a person to have a great conversation. Just ask them questions about themselves and they will think you're the best conversationalist who's ever lived."
That's good, but for me, for someone who sort of struggles with body dysmorphia,
Mhm.
that's not a great thing because I'm thinking, are they looking at me saying, "What a strange looking person that is," you know? And so it could be completely different. Here, I'm being very friendly to someone who thinks, who's thinking negatively, you know.
Oh. Yeah, I don't have that problem, luckily, because my dad also used to I love to sneak in places with my dad. We would go to this
Yeah.
fancy resort, um, called the Don Cesar, and we would go swim in their pool and, like, hang out by the beach all day, and because
Mm.
I'm from Florida, and I feel like that's where I learned another basic life lesson, which is, like, no one's looking at you, no one's thinking about you. Everyone's thinking about themselves, and, like,
Yep.
unless you're super hot or something, no one's
Yep.
really or, like,
I've learned.
extraordinarily like Hunchback of Notre Dame,
Yep.
you're not gonna get noticed. And I think that what's funny about that is I believe that too much. Like I go through life assuming no one can see me
Um,
and people actually can see me.
yep. Yep.
And
Mm.
people
No, I am actually here. I'm taking up space. No.
Right, right. But I really don't feel like I do. And I think the fact that I can't visualize is part of that story. But do
Right.
you have aphantasia too?
Well, I wouldn't say that because I do recognize faces, but if it's out of context and I don't know that person very well,
Hmm.
then I will not be able to get my head around how I know them. If that makes sense. So I don't know what that is, but it's just that out of context, I find it very hard to notice people. And I'm sure I know I walk past people and I'm
Yeah.
supposed to have recognized them. Yeah.
Well, you know what else is I'm curious if this is true for you, but there's some evidence that the visual impression of people's face is your visual memory good or not so good? Like can you remember where you put your keys or um can you remember the
Ooh.
layout of rooms?
Yeah, and I'm good
Oh,
with.
okay.
Once I've gone one place in the car, I know I can go back there.
That's interesting. Yeah, you know what I've learned? There's so many different ways to be face blind, right? So my
Right.
brain is failing at the encoding stage, and your
Okay.
brain is, it sounds like your brain is not failing at that. It's failing at the retrieval stage. And one thing that's
It's,
really nuts about people like you
yeah.
is that if they you often have a feeling of familiarity that's perfectly accurate, but you can't actually make the connection to an individual person. So
No,
anyway,
no,
there's
it's
brains are weird.
fascinating.
Yeah.
I in the book, and look, oh my god, I wished I'd had more time to read more of the book because I'm loving it. I really am loving this book. It's just, it's so much fun to read, and
Yay.
it's also making me do a lot of thinking. Um, it's confusing me, which is fantastic because it's confusing me that I'm having to ask questions of myself that I hadn't either thought to question or I don't have an answer for. We'll
Yeah.
get into that. We'll get into that. So aphantasia, I think the way I understood it, it's more like being able to put an image in your head. Like if you say, think of an apple.
Yeah.
I didn't realize until literally like maybe 6 months ago that I don't do that. You know,
You just think of the concept of an apple.
the concept of an apple, and the same thing was happening when I went to see a psychologist, and I was saying I wasn't sleeping well. I was getting up early, and he was saying what you can do is when you're not getting into that REM part of sleep, image like do an image of like a silver ball, like a crystal ball or something like that. And I said, fantastic, thank you. And then I proceeded to fail at it every single time. Like, well, it must mean that I'm just not able to focus, or but I'd never put two and two together to think, oh, I just can't put an image like that in my head,
Right.
But you know what the weird thing is? I've discovered this only this morning. I can put an image in my head initially,
And then it disappears.
but it never comes back.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's a funny thing when you start to think about a concept, or something like this, an idea. Then your brain's obviously working away in the background
All the
to try and
time,
make
yeah.
sense of it. When I went to London, at that stage, I was a bit of a hippie. I loved Ganesha and things. So when I was driving around London, I saw Ganesha everywhere. Like, huh? But that's because I was just, ready to see it.
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, when I didn't really know much about vision neuroscience and how vision works until I wrote this book. And it's wild to me how much, like, when you open your eyes, it feels like it's just ground truth. Like everything you see is just like, you kind of assume it's like a camera, and you imagine a homunculus, like some little person in your head seeing, right?
Yeah,
But that
yeah.
doesn't make sense. And then you start to learn that, like, your brain, like your eye is just zigzagging all over scenes constantly, and you can
Yeah.
only see clearly, like, at the very in your very central vision. Like if you look at a page of text and focus in
Mhm.
on a few letters, you can only see you can only see clearly just like 2-3 letters or something. But in our conscious experience, you're seeing perfectly clearly everywhere. It's so wild.
It's an incredible concept, and again, reading some book, a few years back, it never occurred to me that I was not looking out.
Oh, yeah. You feel like you're looking out from your head. Yeah. And for me, when I try to explain to people what it means to be stereo blind, I'm like, I'm either looking out of my left eye or my right eye. And it's like, of course, that's not really true, but that's like kind of an easy way to explain it.
Right. Okay. Oh my goodness me. It's just, yeah, it's the most fascinating thing, but also it can be frustrating. But when for you, it's always been there. So for you, there's, it must be something where you're confused about why other people even bringing this up.
But well, I mean, yes and no. I mean, I just am not very reflective. So my entire life, I just assumed, for instance, with aphantasia, people would
Yeah.
like, I go to yoga class all the time, and they're like, shine your heart into the air or something, or just like, imagine you've got a steering wheel. Like, and I didn't understand that for other people, they can actually almost hallucinate on demand. It's insane. It's wild that people can do that. And it's also wild to me, on a related note, that people can do this mental time travel to moments from their past, because I would love to be able to do that. I mean, there's moments from my past I would love to revisit, right? But it doesn't actually, unfortunately, what makes me feel better about it, and I feel like I'm not really missing out, is that most people can't, like, your brain is going to make you time travel to like the worst, most embarrassing moments of your past, not like the like hottest, sexiest times, you know?
It is very strange. You'd said in the book that it was talking about your book, saying some of the dialogue is based on taped conversations, and the rest has been reconstructed. What are the taped conversations you're talking about?
Well, you know, once I knew I was writing, I mean, I was writing a memoir, so a lot of it takes place in the distant past, or some of it does, bits and pieces. But once I knew I was writing, I just started videotaping and audio taping everything all the time, just in case, like, and so I had like a lot of recorded conversations. Oh, and also I have this long running tendency when something interesting, usually funny, happens to me, I immediately tell the story to someone either in an email or as a voicemail, you know? And so I actually have like a lot of logged examples of this because I hold on to them. And I had no idea that this was actually a compensatory mechanism because I don't have a great I have a severely deficient autobiographical memory. So, but I didn't even know that. I just knew that I wanted to hold on to things, and that was the way to do it.
Well, see, this is another thing that's I've had insight even as early as like this morning, because I've been writing a diary for my kids since for basically 19 years, since just before my daughter was born.
Wow.
And it's a diary about me, pretty much.
Yeah.
And it's, as far as like average lengths, it's 2 novels long.
Wow.
And I don't remember anything. You know, it's an extraordinary thing that I managed to write what I have. But when I'm reading back on it now with this sort of new understanding, the things I'm talking about from memory are things that other people have told me. They would have been things that I would have had either talked about it quite a lot over the years, or people have told me about it. But then I reframe it into something that I've remembered. But if I tried to go back and think of that time, it's like I said before, black and white. There's no color to my descriptions.
Right. Yeah, and you don't have. So you know what's crazy? Neurotypical people can sometimes recover new details that they didn't really remember before, or they hadn't noticed before when they replay their old visual memory. And obviously, we know like memory is not a videotape.
No.
But what's wild is I really feel like the neurotypical world has overemphasized this because it's a lot more like a videotape to them than it is to me, you know?
It is.
And there's a lot of context in which memory is like shockingly surprising. I did all this research. I participated in research at Baycrest.
You said a lot of research.
Oh, I am overrepresented in the vision science data. I'm going to go to their conference in May, and I'm going to walk around the like poster sessions and be like, okay, I was in that study. I'm like, oh, that whole dissertation is just about me. And yeah, I'm going to they're just going to block me at some point and be like, no one talk to Sadie. She'll do all your tests, but don't do it.
That's so fascinating. Oh my God. So memory is an interesting thing, isn't it? Because every time you sort of recall a memory, you're essentially rewriting it. Yes, and so that's the other thing for you. Okay, so have you had moments where you've thought about the past, but a memory that you hadn't thought of before can come up, but it's one that hasn't been rewritten? Because I still think no matter what neurotype, like even with me, there'll be very not very often, it's very rare, but I will go, that happened, you know.
Yeah. You know, it's just interesting because like semantic memory is really good at recording certain information, and episodic memory is really good at recording different kinds of information. So so it's just like what kinds of. So like storylines and themes, I'm great at remembering those sorts of things, much better than neurotypical people. But like the like weather that day, the color of the sky, like all the texture of a experience are gone. All I have is the wireframe.
Yeah. And do you think your writing doesn't include sort of giving that, painting a picture, a colourful picture of that moment?
As a reporter, like when I go out on reporting errands, by the way, I just got an assignment for National Geographic and they're sending me to France. I am so excited.
Fantastic.
Yeah, I'm so excited. Of course, I won't know what anyone's saying, but I'll do my best. But whenever I go on reporting errands like that, I really make a note to take a lot of pictures, video, and also just write down sensory details like smells or like textures, things that. So I work really hard to get those sensory details down on paper so I can like reconstruct them. But if you looked at my whole, if you did like a content analysis of my memoir and also other people with SDM's memoirs like Craig Venter, you will not get nearly as much, I think, beautiful description. But on the other hand, I don't like reading beautiful descriptions either. I skim over that shit. How about you?
Oh, yeah, that's it. It's like, oh, get it, whatever, you know? Just say it was hot. Mind you, there are writers that I adore.
Future Dan, Cormac McCarthy, The Road.
It was a post-apocalyptic book. It was made into a film as well, where the dad and the child were crossing to try and find somewhere to survive. Desperately awful, terrible, you know. But his descriptions are of like no color, of ash, of all these things were extraordinary, and I was so taken in by the way he was able to talk about something that's desolate and there was really nothing to look at, and he was able to describe it in so many different ways.
Future Dan here. I just want to read a quick quote from The Road, just to give you an idea of what I'm talking about, his sense of being able to describe the environment around him when there is essentially no colour. It took 2 days to cross that ashen scab land. The road beyond fell away on every side. It's snowing, the boy said. He looked at the sky. A single grey flake sifting down. He caught it in his hand and watched it expire, there like the last host of Christendom.
Wow.
Which was quite fascinating, but again, it wasn't really necessarily the same what we're talking about. It's not about capturing like the moods. I'm not sure. It's a really weird feeling to have where I have to go back and look at all these things and go, okay, I didn't really capture a moment here, did I?
So I was going to ask, like in your diary that you wrote, it's like probably very narrative, but it's not like, what's it like?
Oh my God. Yeah, it is. Hang on, I've got it open on here. Okay, my first bunch of memories are of Mooroolbark when I was in kindergarten. I have virtually no memory of being inside the house. Philip, my best friend, and I would hang out on the street with other kids or go down to the oval and play on the play equipment or go to the creek and get wet. I have a memory of us doing this one day. We had this big bit of cardboard, and I think we were trying to float on it. I guess the time got away from us because when I got home, my mum was furious. She called the police to look for me. This was unusual because back then it was okay to wander the streets without fear of harm. And so I'm talking about things like that. That's one of the memories that I was told by my mum.
Oh.
But if I try to remember back then, I think I've made up a movie of me there.
Can you actually picture it just a little bit?
No, I think the picture I've constructed it. I've constructed it. It's me and him. I can't picture really the details or anything like that. And a creek and cardboard. But I don't know if it's that creek, if it's that cardboard, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
You know.
What's interesting is the way your brain works. It's called sparse encoding. So it's when you said it was it that cardboard, most people's brains would just have like a small cluster of neurons that represent all cardboard, basically. Right. So it's an amalgam of every piece of cardboard you've ever seen in your entire life for most people. Though people with there's people who do have like that photographic memory where they do hold on to like the specifics of that piece of cardboard. And these poor folks their brains are so cluttered. They often sort of feel like they've lost sight of the bigger picture of their life story.
Right. Oh, that's true. Yeah, that's not necessarily a good thing, is it?
Yeah, it's most brains sort of strike a balance between getting the big picture and the small picture, and then
Yeah.
and people with severely deficient autobiographical memory like me just really put all of our money on the big picture, and then people with HSAM, highly superior autobiographical memory, put all their money on the small details. And even in the names, you can tell that like as a culture we value holding on to those little details.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. That's
But
right.
yeah, but I don't think, and the person who invented the name severely deficient autobiographical memory, he actually had a
Yeah.
better name idea that he ended up not using, which was nomothetic,
Oh,
nomothetic,
yeah.
which, do you know that term?
No, but it's great.
Yeah, it just means, it just means like big picture thinkers, kind of.
Right. Okay. Big picture thinkers. Yeah. Well, that's interesting because I always consider things like masking where you teach yourself to do something that isn't going to, that it's not normal for you to want to do. So masking, that sort of stuff is something that I've developed as a skill set. It doesn't necessarily mean that's me being naturally me.
Yeah.
So I when I was working, I would sometimes get on the train and I would start writing something where I just gave myself the challenge. You have to write something that's going on around you, and it has to end when you get to your station.
That's such a great writing exercise. I love that.
Amazing, and it just made me think. Yeah, I'm sort of consciously teaching myself to look at the detail where I normally wouldn't, and so I had to look around and start to talk about what is the detail of what's going around me.
And you're encoding it in the way that your brain can hold on to it, which is through words, because you aren't going to be able to visually hold on to it.
Yeah, yeah. It's a fascinating. I love coming into having these sort of insights. You I got a whole section of quotes. Well, I think it's one quote, but it's just got a lot of questions in it. It says, "Do you have an inner monologue? Do you hear it in your mind's ear? Is it in your own voice? Is it like eavesdropping on your own thoughts, or is it like a commentary on what you're doing?" I have no answer to that.
Really?
I don't know how to answer that.
Inner experience can be really hard to pin down, and we don't really have a great language for describing it. But like, how would you describe? Do you have an inner monologue at all?
I guess I do. I remember having arguments post argument with someone when I come up with better concepts and better arguments. But I must. Yeah, I know sometimes I call myself a dickhead if I've done something stupid or anything like that. Like, oh, you twit, you idiot. Or I think things would have to be very silent for me to have that inner monologue. And I haven't thought to describe it or make sense of what it is, because it's just what I do. So
right.
Do you understand what I'm saying? Like I would then have to think, well, other people do things differently, and then I'd have to sit there and be mindful of it for the next few days.
Right. And, and the thing about introspection as a way of trying to understand your inner experience is that obviously the act of observation changes how your experience. And so, but there's a workaround, which I got to do with a different researcher, where you get you get like a little beeper and like little earbuds, and it beeps like randomly throughout your day. And then you have to write down or do like a little message recording of the contents of your mind right before you heard the beep. And so the idea is to sort of catch yourself unawares and then write it down, and you sort of get more of a random sample.
Oh my God, that's amazing. That is so good.
There's an app. He has an app that you can use. I can't remember.
Definitely going to do it.
It's fun. It's fun. And, so I went into this experiment. He asked me to predict what I think my inner life is like. And I said, you know what? It's probably a lot of emotions, and I can't remember what else. And like lots of music. I always have a song stuck in my head. But
yes.
Yeah, yeah. But in reality, though, most of the time, my mind is very blank. Like I'm just sensing, I'm just in the world, like feeling it, seeing it, whatever, and I'm not judging it at all.
I literally deleted that line that I wrote on my notes. Like when you
What,
asked,
really?
I said, well, most of the time it's my mind's just blank.
Yes. Oh
Yeah.
my God. Yes. Yes. You're welcome. Welcome to the club. I wish we need a better name than like no inner monologue. And it's really rude. People will say that we're NPCs. Have you heard of those? Non-player characters.
Oh my God. Yeah, NPCs. Yes, yes.
So rude. So rude. Just because I don't know what I'm thinking doesn't mean I'm not thinking. It just means I don't know what it is. It's below my level of conscious awareness.
Okay, so now I'm starting to come like well, my wife constantly asks me, so what are you thinking? And my answer was always nothing.
Yeah. She probably thinks you're hiding something or lying.
And it's like,
Or
yeah, how do you
embarrassed.
feel? How do you feel about something? I don't know. Are you looking forward to the holiday? Haven't
Yes.
really
Okay.
thought
So
about it.
that's a really interesting one because if you can't picture the past, you also have trouble. This is the theory, and this is my
Mm,
experience, imagining the future too.
mm,
And
mm,
so I'm pretty open minded when I walk into new situations because I have no preconceived notion
mm.
about what it would be because I don't even have the mental machinery to project myself into the future. So again, like these are things that are very odd sounding to people, but it's kind of nice. Like I think it would be really stressful to constantly be thinking about the past and the future. It allows you to actually maybe be more present. Though a lot of times, though, even when I am quite present, like I'm present, but like I'm present in my own brain. Like it's my whole brain is thinking shit, and there's
Yeah,
actually no sensing going on
yeah,
at all.
yeah. I've got melodies going all the time. I'm always making up little melodies, and then I just go on repeat with it, and that sort of stuff. Or I whistle it, which drives my wife insane. She keeps telling me to shut up. But I can't. It's what I'm naturally doing. I'm naturally just producing,
Little
arrangements of
songs.
notes all the time, and
Yeah.
it's comfortable. I enjoy doing that,
Do you ever
and I.
write songs about things you're doing in the house, like doing the dishes,
Oh my God,
cooking
yes,
toast?
constantly. My children all have theme songs.
Ah! No
You know,
way! I love that. Oh my
yeah.
God. Can you
It's
sing
just
them
like
for me?
I know one of my sons is. It's not particularly clever. It's just Henry, oh Henry, how are you today? Henry, oh Henry, how are you today? Henry, oh Henry, how are you today? Oh Henry, oh Henry, oh Henry.
I love that. And I also love that it's a waltz.
Yeah. And they
Do
can
your
sing
other
it.
kids have songs in three, or are they
Yes.
like,
Eloise, I've got one, and my dogs all have one. And then I've got videos of me when they were babies of just singing a particular line or melodic line to them,
yeah.
all the time. It's just, yeah, it's filled with that sort of stuff. And my songs are almost always sort of autobiographical. They were my therapy for when I was younger, and I didn't understand why I was so bad at school and
Yeah.
all those
Okay.
things.
If you haven't gotten to like the Craig Venter part of my book yet, right? I'm dying to tell
No,
you.
no,
Okay,
no,
I
because
not to be a spoiler, but this is so wild to me because do you know who he is? He was the guy. I mean, he was called the bad boy of biotech in the 90s, and he was like on
I
the
know
cover.
the name. Yeah, yeah, because I
And
read a
so
few books on sort of genetics and DNA and that sort of
yeah,
stuff.
and what he did, which is I think is so badass, is he was working at the NIH, and the NIH was very laboriously sort of sequencing the human genome like peptide by peptide, right? And he was
Mm,
like, you know what? What if we just shattered this DNA into like a zillion pieces and had the computer do it automatically and then get the computer to piece it back together? And that
mm,
sounded just like insanity to everyone at
mm,
NIH because they're very conservative and they're like, no, obviously this is a very slow process that will take about 20 years. And so Craig's
mm,
like, well, I'm leaving and I'm going to prove that and I'm going to beat you. And he 100% did it. Though once NIH saw how good he was doing, they bought like all of the machines. Like they reached out to the company that was making his machines and they bought them up from him. So and they ended up catching up. But long story short, they decided to call it a tie. So that was I feel like that was quite generous of Craig Venter because he was kicking their ass. Um,
yeah.
but anyway, but he says, so his life story is really interesting because he sucked in school because he has a brain that is probably a bit like ours, where he he doesn't remember things unless he deeply understands them. So like he can't read a textbook and just have that information, whereas his first wife could read the textbook and almost and literally like flip through it in her mind and remember where on the page information was, in addition to having all the actual information. So poor Craig can't memorize anything by rote. That includes spelling. And and so he, and that is, I'm the worst speller because spelling in English has no logic to it.
Yep.
Anyway, so yeah, so basically he just like, I think he failed out of college and ended up getting sent to Vietnam, because he wasn't like in college, but in Vietnam he was like a medic, and he completely did great. He like really flourished, even though it was like probably horrifying. And when he came back, he got a PhD and like just took over the world. And he said that even though he like can't spell, he decoded the longest, most complicated spelling word in history, which is the human genome. But also he said that it was his big picture thinking, his ability to see the whole scientific landscape, that allowed him to see things that other people couldn't see. Oh, and he also told me that so he like used to get invited, he's pretty old now, but he used to get invited to speak at graduations all the time, like college graduations. And he would, and you know what, it was like a particular like honors like thing, like there's some sort of like all the best high school students or whatever. And so he would be speaking to this auditorium of the kids who got the very best grades. And he'd be like, how many of you guys can visualize? And he said they could all visualize, like they almost to a person. The people who do the best in grade school or high school are the people who can do that rote memorization. And then, but once you hit, college, if you're at a good college or grad school, concepts start to matter a lot more. And I think that we can catch up. I don't know if so that's my experience, is that I got D's in elementary school. And then by the time I got to college, I was straight A's, but there was like, it was a rocky period in the middle there.
Well, this is something it's really important at the moment for me, because my daughter is she's ADHD, and she's very similar to me. She's got a lot of similarities with me. She's just finished an exam where she'd worked really hard, but once she got there, everything just disappeared, and she had a bit of a panic attack, and she didn't do a great job of it.
Yes.
So I've been talking to her about it, and I've been trying to speak to people about methods that she can use to do this bullshit rote memory stuff as much as possible.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to talk to you about that, about what, if you have any ideas of that sort of stuff, because I've spoken to a friend of mine who I used to look after when I was a carer, and he's amazing. He studied psychology, and we're giving him some of those biological concepts that she's having to learn, and he's going to go and he's going to talk about how he would go about remembering it. So so he's talking about different senses and involving stories or whatever works for you to make it interesting, because I'm very aware of that fact that it's all about the motivation, because the things I was good at school was the things I was motivated because I liked them and I did very well at them, but the things I didn't was shocking, absolutely shocking, because I could not remember wrote to memory, and she's clearly got a bit of that as well. So how would she go about things like when we're talking about dendrites and the nerves? At the moment she's talking about nerves and central nervous system and all those things. I'm trying to go with her and try to create stories around it. So some of it's a bit naughty, like, because we have a bit of naughty humour when we're talking about.
That's the way to do it. That's totally the way to do it. That's how you remember things. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just like, is that what you would do? How would you go about remembering something that's boring to you?
You know what? My autobiographical memory is so poor that I don't even know. I don't remember how I did it. But I think that it's almost impossible for me to memorize things. Like by rote. Like when I was in an acting class, I couldn't memorize any, like even a single sentence. I would never be able to get out exactly word for word. I would have the gist of it, but that's just not, my brain encodes concepts. It just doesn't encode the words like that. And I can't spell. I never learned to spell. And I'm a full-time professional writer. Like, and I just thank God for spell check, because I would just 100% not be able to be a writer without it.
Yeah, I think my son's a bit like that as well. But you had mentioned, I think in the emails, that it's just a matter of a lot of repetition. That if you're going to get through it, it just has to be a lot of repetition. I did a play, and in my year 12, the last high school year, and I was the main character who was on stage the whole time. So I would have gigantic chunks of text that I would have to memorize, and it took over my life.
Your whole brain.
Yeah, and thankfully, I was studying other things that I really like music in that year. But I had to spend a long time, and there were still moments I'd forget chunks of it. But I'm kind of glad that I put myself in those positions where I had to try it out and see how it went. Spelling, same thing. I think I used to do spelling bees. When you were too low. Did you have to do that?
We had those, yeah. But I was so bad. I mean,
yeah, I got good.
What'd you say?
I think I got good, and I do. For me, I love words, and I like we talked about before. I love playing with words. I love combining words. So I think for me, that's not a problem. I'm really good at spelling and things like that. Not so much with numbers, but with words, I love the sounds they make and things like that. So it's a bit different for me in that respect. But again, it comes back to motivation, doesn't it?
Wait, and motivation and creativity for coming up with workarounds. You said, and if you go into almost any sort of context with sort of a playful mindset, it just improves your learning by 1,000%. Like when you're stressed out, your brain gets into narrow locked in mode, and it just, you are not going to learn anything. But if you are relaxed and just messing around, and it doesn't feel like there's big stakes, then I think a lot of neurodivergent people can find, or with help, they can find ways to do things that are different than the neurotypical way. But it does take a lot more effort, and sometimes you're a lot slower, but it's just trade-offs. That said, though, I feel like we live in a world that really rewards specialists, which can be good. Like, so if you
America?
What'd you say?
In America right now?
In America, yeah, and everywhere we reward specialists because we're just such an advanced industrialized world. Like if I was a hunter-gatherer, I would have to do all sorts of things all the time. And I think it would be a lot harder for me. Whereas I am only good at, like, if you look at my, educational standardized testing, I would be in the top, I would be in the top 2% and the bottom 2% on almost everything. Right. So I had this very jagged, which I think is pretty typical. And actually, if the network theory of neurotypical brains is sort of showing why this is, because neurotypical brains have like a hub and spoke system, more like a hub and spoke system for their architecture. And so you usually, if it's like with an airline, you usually don't have to make more than one connection to get from where you start to where you're going, right? But neurodivergent brains have more of a daisy chain situation, like a circular bus route, where
like pinball.
Well, where it's like you're definitely if sometimes you might have to take 4 or 5 connections, and you're gonna lose luggage halfway there, but other times you have these super efficient connections. And so for whatever reason, both you and I have brains that encode music like it's no big deal, but do not encode other things very well at all.
Wow. Okay, so we've been abducted and put in a car, and we're taken to somewhere we don't know where the hell we are. And basically they've taken the blindfolds off and said, find your way back. What would you do in that situation? It's not something you wanted to do. You're certainly not going to be, I know there was going to be an element of motivation, but it's still, you're not in a place that you feel comfortable. So how would you go about figuring out how to get back to civilization?
I mean, that's a good question. And I feel like people who are neurodivergent in that situation are starting with at least one good advantage, which is that if you've spent your entire life living in a world that was not quite designed for you, then you are already good at finding workarounds. And I feel like as a face blind person, I'm particularly good at finding myself in weird situations and I don't know what's going on. I don't know who I'm talking to, but I can trust myself to figure it out so I don't panic at least. So in your scenario, like I think that I probably wouldn't panic because I know that I can figure my way out of shit.
I'm getting thirsty, Sadie. Come on. I'm getting thirsty.
Okay, yeah. So I don't well, so it's interesting. I mean, I think honestly, given my strengths, and I would just try to find people, right? Like I would look for signs of humans and try to find people to help me out.
How to find people? That's okay. Would you look at how to work out direction? What direction to go?
So, I mean, if I was super thirsty, I guess I would go downwards, right? Like I'd go downhill to look for water in general.
Yep.
If I knew that, it's interesting because I did like wilderness survival tons as a kid, but I feel like it's so specific to where you did it. Cause like, if you dropped me off in like North Carolina, where my camp was, like the mountains of North Carolina, I'd be fine. I'd be okay. You're like, I know what you can eat.
Do you just have all that sort of stuff going on? Which is, if there's moss on one side of the tree, you can sort of get some idea of direction. Based on where the sun is hitting.
I don't remember any of that. All I remember is what you can eat. Yeah, so maybe I wouldn't do that well. I don't know. But how about you?
Yeah, I love watching those sorts of shows. I'm fascinated by them all. And I wouldn't panic. I wouldn't panic at all. I'd probably, well, to be honest, do you remember Grizzly Adams? Do you remember that show? Yeah. From the 70s, yeah. He was a guy who I think was Canadian. He just lived with a bear. Oh, with a bear up in the mountains. And I've always thought I'd love to be Grizzly Adams, living on my own, with a dog or something like that. I'd be quite okay with that, with the isolation. Really? Yeah.
For how long do you think? Really?
Alive. The show Alive.
Alive?
Yeah, I could definitely do it. If I had the skill sets to be able to find the food. I wouldn't be one of those people who would be like, oh, I can't handle this. I realize I miss my family, and I'd be like, I'll see them again.
That's very unusual. Do you guys have? I don't know. There's a show called Pluribus that was on. That is so good. It's by the Breaking Bad people. And I know. I haven't seen it available. I hope you guys get it because it actually really gets into the question of loneliness. Yes. And I won't do any spoilers, but it's like super interesting because the main character is like quite a misanthropic kind of person, but she gets really lonely really fast when she's truly isolated.
Yeah. Okay. Nah, that would not be a problem at all. Which makes it like you feel guilty. Like my kids know this about me as well. You'd be fine. You wouldn't miss us. And I would miss you, but I'd still be able to function, and I'd still be in the moment, and I would enjoy the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, actually, now that you're saying that, I feel like I have something is chiming in my brain, which is that I can, like, when I was dating, I'm married now, but when I was dating, I could get over a breakup like in a week and a half. Like I had a live-in boyfriend who like I had this very dramatic breakup with, and I was completely devastated for like one day. and then by the time I ran into him, like again, a week and a half later, I felt nothing. And I think that is a benefit of having a terrible memory, because I think a friend of like my good friend Miriam, who has an incredible memory, like she that would trigger like a flood of memories, and she would just be like overcome with emotions. Whereas I was like, oh, there's that guy who used to live with me. I didn't have any of that. And
you're just somebody I used to know.
Yeah. Yeah. But then there was a podcaster who asked my husband, Steve, about that. And he said, and I feel like Steve he was alarmed. He was like, yeah, Sadie would get over me in about 24 hours and probably marry someone else.
Yep.
Oh, God.
Oh, that is a weird thing. I've have brought that up with a psychologist in that that it's an awful feeling to have, even though it's like it's just a natural way that we think. Is that those expressions of love and that sort of thing and kind of not natural, you know.
Yeah.
It's really tough. My wife remembers everything, every conversation, all these things. You know, she's great in an argument because she'll just be able to recall things that I have not, you know. And my take is that we've been together for, you know, about almost 35 years because I haven't got a memory.
It is so hard to argue with people who have that autobiographical memory because they're like, well, my good friend Siren has this insane memory. And she's like, well, I remember when you said blah, blah. And I'm like, well, I don't remember that. And in any case, I don't believe it anymore. So
what's worse? It's not great for friends in that, is it? Like I've said to a friend, oh man, you should watch this film. It's fantastic. And he go, we saw it together.
Yes. Yeah, that happens to me too. That's so funny. I will tell people like whole story. Okay, this is the worst one is that my friend Sybil had this incredible story that I just sort of adopted and I made myself the and anyway, I told it back to her and she was like, no, that was actually me. And I was like, oh, okay.
And it's like I call them on the podcast autistic moments, like just these things where it's just like, oh my God, it's not. The funny things are when you're made aware of them, you know.
Yeah, and then you realize, and the big thing is like, this isn't just like the glitches only show up when under certain pressures, right? But that's you all the time, like all the time. I'm never thinking about anyone's like eye color or whatever. Like my brother, who's kind of like us, his now wife, his girlfriend, like quizzed him on her, like he's like, what color are my eyes? And he didn't know after he'd been dating her for like a year.
Oh dear. Yeah. That's making a lot of sense. Don't ask me, please.
Yeah, what color are your wife's eyes?
Because I'll just say brownish.
Brownish?
Yeah, come on.
That's safe. That's the majority of people.
Well, there you go. That's covered. I'll be more likely to be true.
I don't know birthdays. Okay, this is like TMI, but whenever you go to the doctors as a woman, they say, when was the first day of your last period? And I have stopped saying I don't know because they think they are immediately like alarmed, right? But I never know. I'll never know. It doesn't mean like I'm accidentally pregnant. I just literally have no idea. I have to look at my calendar.
It's a good idea to do that. My wife makes notes for me when I go to the doctors.
Yeah, that's so lucky. My husband is also poor memories, so he does not help me at all. Is she good at face recognition?
Yeah.
Oh wow, cool.
Yeah, which is good for her as a teacher.
Your ear, like that's so and so.
Yeah, we're so opposite in those respects, which is good as a couple. It makes you, you know, a better more functional person. You know? She does the things I can't do and I do the things she can't do, you know.
My husband and I, unfortunately, just doubled down on all the strengths and weaknesses. So no one's doing the taxes on time, basically. But we're both getting quite good at like programming ChatGPT, which we don't need to know how to do.
Yeah. So you're like Homer Simpson, just going round and round and round. Whoop, 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 whoop. So what do you do then? What are you using any tools now to help? There's lots of them out there that can actually help you with that stuff.
You know, I mean, in terms of like the boring administrative things you have to do for life, my trick has always been just to keep everything as simple as possible. So like I only have like one bank account. Like I only, you know, like I couldn't deal with if I had like 4 credit cards and like 3 bank accounts, it would be the end of the world. Like so So that's my, and also with belongings, I used to only have 4 forks for like 3 for guests.
Yeah, that's smart. That's smart.
But that all went to hell when I married my husband, who he just like loves having stuff, and he has so much stuff, and all my stuff has gotten swallowed up and I can't find it. So I guess I don't really have any functional answers for you there.
I've had to just cope because my wife loves to gather things, and I've tried to set up organizational systems. I love organizing stuff, sitting like basically where I would say if I needed to find a spatula, I could close my eyes and walk to that spot, open it up and grab it because I know exactly where I've put it.
Right.
But of course,
you always put it in the same place.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And my memories stick with that because I know where I've put it. Done.
Yes.
But she moves them. I've given up. And so it makes it difficult because she's like, well, you never help with this stuff. And I'm like, well, because I know the right way of doing it. I know how it's going to work, but it doesn't work because you don't follow the same, way of going about doing things. Doesn't matter to you. It's not important, So it's always going to be an argument because we just will never be able to meet in the middle there. How can you meet in the middle about where to put a spatula?
You know what else is Steve and I have a dueling sort of problems with visual clutter, because I can't find things if it's in a bunch of other things.
Yeah.
Just because of my visual system is not good at object recognition.
Mm-hmm,
and that's, as a result, without realizing it, that's why I never have anything on any countertops, like a very minimalist and clean when I'm left to my own devices. Steve, however, has the ADHD where you leave shit everywhere. And so he's just like, there's just shit everywhere. And I'm like, which one of our neurodiversities takes precedence here? And I actually put that question in my book, or I wrote a reader's guide for my book for book clubs. And I put that question in there, and you can go and vote online. And last time I checked, Steve has been winning, but that's just because there's more messy people out there, I think.
I know. And here I am in here. Like, my wife's got a desk over here. But I mean, it is. I couldn't walk over there because there's so much crap down here. But we're also trying to sell things on Facebook, and but in the end, even though this is mostly my space, it becomes cluttered, and I kind of just learned to deal with that because I don't have full control over it. If I had full control, I got one of my best friends. When we go away together, as a bunch of the guys go away together, the two of us are just, everything's so beautifully organized. We do all the cooking. And we just work so well together. I'm thinking, if only,
if you were gay, you would have married this guy and you would have killed it.
Yeah, but alas.
Alas. Yeah, my very best friend Sybil, I feel like is like a twin soul. And like, but on the other hand, if you did marry like your clone, you wouldn't have the great balance you have in your relationship.
That's true. You learn that oh my God, I hate myself.
I know. I think I would really enjoy it, but I think that I would also hate it a lot sometimes.
So what have you got coming up ahead? Are you going to continue to, jump into every form of study that you can come across? I've done that for my back. I just jump in and see whatever I can find. But have you got more of that coming up?
I have been, yeah. So I've been really interested in this idea of how scientists are newly studying subjective experience objectively. And so I've been obsessed with like weird perceptual disorders, things that neurologists, like, have you heard of visual snow syndrome?
No. Is that something to do with just a busyness?
It's so wild. It's like the visual, it's almost like visual tinnitus, right? If you have tinnitus with hearing, like you always hear like a high pitched sound. It's like it's noise that's in there. Everyone has like a lot of neurological activity that your brain filters out when it is giving, moving information to your conscious experience. But people with visual snow syndrome, it's like there's a layer of static over everything they see. It's kind of like the HBO logo, old-timey TV, and what's wild is, of course, most people have it their whole lives, so they don't have anything to compare it to. And so she figured out that she had this, and and they'll go to their doctors and say, like, there's this veil over things, and they check your eyes and your eyes look fine. Maybe you get a brain scan and your brain scan looks fine because they're they can only find like a tumor,
Yeah, that's right.
they cannot find functional like quirks in brains with brain scans. So, or at least not, well, with fMRI, you might be able to, but the point here is that that's one. So that's a weird phenomenon that's like 2% of the population. That's actually like kind of pretty often, right? Like that's like 1 in 20 or 1 in 200. What is 2%? Shoot, it's a lot of more people than you would think.
yeah. Well, there's an oral one for that too. I mean, I had that as far as after a amount of time in a crowd, like the sound becomes one sound, but that takes 15 minutes or so.
Yeah, so that is actually, you might have an auditory processing difference. Like, I don't want to say disorder because it's not affecting your life, but it sounds like you would have like an auditory. It's because I don't think that's normal. No offense.
I've got no more room on my shelf.
Right. And
to so put another thing up.
Like, collecting labels. But again, that's why I'm like kind of trying to advocate for big tent neurodiversity, because all of the weirdos are weird in a lot of different ways, and you'll never find two of us that are perfect matches, so our current categories like autism and ADHD, dyslexia, dyscalculia, even the narrow ones are way too broad. Even prosopagnosia includes so many different ways of failing at recognizing faces. You and I are two different camps. So I'm just like, let's just have a neurodiverse club.
Yes.
For the outliers, the outlier party. And
neurodivergent, that's a term I'm using a lot more often nowadays, just to have a catch-all, because the way okay, so what my brain does in this situation is that I visualize my different neurotypes, so my ADHD, my autism, my dyscalculia. They're all having an argument about how come you keep saying that guy first and not me.
Right.
Because if I try to list them all off, that's just ridiculous. And who gets to go first and who gets to go last, and it's just a big fight. So that's why neurodivergence is good, because everyone's included.
Well, and and this is a thing that I actually struggle with. I'm curious what you think, because like sometimes when I'm talking, publicly about neurodivergence, people will say, well, everyone's like, there isn't a normal isn't real. And I'm like, actually, there is someone out there who is like fully at the median of every measurable trait, right? Or maybe not exactly at the median, but like and most people are within 1 or 2 standard deviations, right?
Yes.
So, but those of us who are at the tails on one thing are at the tails on other things. Like people, it's not randomly distributed through the population, and there is normal, and it's just like, as everyone says now, it's a spectrum. And everyone's somewhere on the spectrum, right? But if you're going to chunk off the people who really feel like aliens in a world designed by some other species, it's going to be the people at the end of the tails that are more than 2 standard deviations away from the mean.
Absolutely. And another way for people, a visual way of people being able to explain that to people, and is saying it's more like a web. And so there's all these different aspects to within that, or it's like it could be a wheel, or with pieces of pie.
Where I know exactly. I love those graphs where you can see all the different. Yeah.
So it's not a spectrum. It's just you're going to fit somewhere in each of those pieces of the pie,
right.
And that makes more sense as a web. But there's some people who essentially just won't even factor into that.
And I feel like some of the problem is actually our language. Like, language always is dividing things as like thing and not that thing.
Yes.
It's very, very binary. And we don't have a lot of words for like ish, like I'm autistic-ish, or whatever. I'm Jewish. That's actually kind of true. I'm like,
I'm Jewish.
I know. It's funny.
I'm ticklish.
Like, I'm not observant, but I go to bat mitzvahs all the time.
Now, I realise the time is getting on, but I wanted to cover off a couple of things, if that's okay. Is that?
Yeah, thanks. Thanks for reining us in.
One of the things that we were talking about before about my daughter, and I just wanted to see if I could get your take on this. My daughter has a very negative view of her neurodivergence.
Oh.
And she keeps saying to me in a joking way, but obviously these things can, there's something, it's coming from somewhere. It's like, you're the one who gave all this to me, all these issues. I'm saying, well, it's not an issue at all. It's awesome,
Yeah.
But she just does see it at the moment as just being, I just wish I was normal,
Yeah.
How would you go about reframing it for how would you reframe it for yourself? Have you ever felt in that position where you're like, I just wish I wasn't?
Yeah. I mean, I guess I feel like, validating her sadness and frustration. Like, yeah, it really sucks like a lot of the time to be in the position we're in. But it's interesting because I feel like as soon as you're out of like high school, you are now, as soon as you're an adult, you can structure your life around your strengths, and all this, and those are in your strengths you're actually quite strong at. And this is back to my theory of why it's good to be neurodivergent in like a highly industrialized society where there's a lot of specialization. Though I know many ADHD people like are sort of like omnivores, but I also think there's a lot of us who are just like, I can't do any math in my head, but I'm not bad at math concepts, and that kind of thing. So the point is that once you're out of high school, once you're out of grade school, it is not a burden. It can really become a huge advantage because you're rare, and being rare means that you can get more money for the thing you're good at.
Isn't it hard? She wants to be a psychologist, so it is going to be, this year's going to be so bloody hard for her. And I do say the same thing. It's not going to be like this when you get into to work and you just do something that you love. Always make sure you do something you love, because I didn't. And it's just going to get through this. It's getting through this year. So I'm trying to come up with ways that help her to do this ridiculous rote learning crap.
Oh, it's so hard. I know. I don't even know how anyone does it.
No, I don't either. We've prepared our son really well. He's 14 and he's got a bonsai business.
Oh, wow. That's cool.
Yeah. Because he loves bonsai and he can remember all the names of everything, and it only needs to be told to him once. He'll know how to do this and that.
Wow.
It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. So he's not going to get to that part in the school where he's having to do lots of those exams. He's going to be veered more towards sort of horticulture, and the school will help him by he gets to go and have a couple of days, to learn these things. So it's for him. I don't think it's going to be that difficult. It's just my daughter's just. She wants to get that, so she wants to get that at high school.
Yeah. Though the other advantage is if you do have to work harder to do all this stuff, you are going to probably understand it better than your peers, You're
right. You're right. Yeah.
I'm sure that's like not great comfort though.
No. It validates the things I've been thinking too. It totally does validate that. What we're doing together is she's teaching me and I'm asking her questions, and then I'm trying to find ways to give names to things, or that's just like your favorite TV show, or like this character, and all these sorts of things. I'm trying to pin all those to make it easier for her,
Yeah.
So I feel like I'm on the right track.
Yeah, it sounds like you really are, and that's what Craig Venters told me. He was like, "There's no shortcuts for us." Like, unfortunately, we have to really understand something and integrate it into all the other things we understand, or our brains are not going to hold on to it. Whereas like people who have that photographic memory, they can just look at something and spit it back out. They don't have to understand it.
Yep. What's coming up for you? I have to.
Okay, yeah. What's coming up for me? I'm writing magazine articles for great magazines like National Geographic and the New York Times Magazine, and I'm trying to get a book proposal together about for a second book about sort of the objective verification of formerly subjective experiences, or how science is digging into this question of qualia, and what is it like to be a bat? What is it like to be Dan? What is it like if you could be beamed into the mind of another creature? Science has some answers now. It used to just be a philosophical question, which bores me, but now it's an empirical question sometimes.
Oh, I love that. That would just be amazing. That'd be so fascinating.
Yeah, I love that.
Oh my
Like, so
God.
one example that I really love, two examples, is like if you could beam into the lived experience of a dog, their
Mm,
main sense is smell. And so
mm,
to them, the world is, you could think of it as a long exposure photograph because they can see
mm.
the hot dog someone dropped on the ground 3 days ago that's no
Yeah,
longer there, but it has that trace and the trace remains. So that's what I always think about with dogs is like sort of short-sighted, but seeing into the past instead of the distance.
absolutely. A story is being told, but how the hell do you go in, as you're saying, with a bonobo? Oh, no. I don't want to use the word bonobo. But so how would with us going into that mind of the dog, having the life we've had, it would be unbelievably overwhelming for
Oh
us.
yeah. Right. And like there's a famous essay that says, if you can never imagine, like you can imagine what it would be like if you turned into a bat, maybe, but you
Exactly.
can't really imagine what it's like for a bat to be a bat because their
No.
whole experience and their whole frame of reference is battiness. But that said, I think it's plenty to just try to really understand scientifically what it's like to be another creature if you were to be that other creature, because
Yeah.
it's much
Really
easier
interesting.
to think about comparison. So like if you beamed into my lived experience, you would be like, wow, everything's really flat and I'm afraid to walk down these stairs.
Yeah. Yeah. There's
Whereas
a,
if
there's
I
a
beam
guy
into my lived experience, I'm like, it looks the same as always.
like there's a guy in England called Carl Pilkington, and it's one of my special interests. I listen to him and Ricky Gervais, who did The Office, the
Oh, I
UK
love
version of the.
him. Yeah.
But there's him, Stephen Merchant, and Carl Pilkington, and I listen to their radio shows and podcasts, which are long gone. They've stopped doing it for ages, but there's a lot of the material, and I'd listen to it hours every day.
Yeah.
And because I love Carl's mind, and Carl's mind is just, it's fascinating the way he looks at things like this and builds these stories around. Like he even talked about there was the last chimp that went to space, and
Oh.
he reads a headline of just the basics that then he came back, and then of course there was humans' turn to go off to space, so he didn't get to go back, and so he's built this story around the fact that this chimp, he had so much to offer, and he wanted to go back into space because it was fun. So all of a sudden he got so depressed he went on a bender. He was women and booze, and because he was just so depressed, and he ended up killing himself because he didn't. And all that stuff's coming from his own mind, and I love interesting brains. That's why I'm loving reading your book, because it's just I love hearing people with interesting minds, and you do it in such a lovely way. It's an easy read, but it's about some hard concepts, which is fantastic.
Great.
Do
That's
you
what I
think
aim for.
do you think the general neurotypical reader would take something else, something very different? Would it be like going into? Would it be? I apologize. Would it be like going into the mind of a dog? For them,
yeah, I think that. Well, it's so funny because I get emails all the time from people who are just comparing themselves to me, and they're like, "I'm like you with A, B, and C, but not with D or whatever."
Yeah, yeah.
And I love it because I think it just gets people to start comparing themselves on these, like you were saying, like on the inner monologue. Some people, people who just naturally assume that their experience is roughly average, and so the person who can actually almost hear their own voice in their minds as their inner monologue assumes everyone can do that, but it turns out that's actually pretty rare. So so I think that I think it's really fun to get people thinking about their own lived experience and in contrasting it with people in their lives, because it helps you understand other people so much better once you realize that your perceptions and your inner experience might be quite different from other people's, especially if you're neurodivergent. Then it's basically no one else is like you.
Self-reflective. I've been told all my life. I say, but why don't people do this? And they always say, just because you're special. You're special. Other people don't think this way. And I've always been. It's been important from a very young age to want to understand myself and the world around me, and all those sorts of things have been. But I don't know if it's a normal thing for people to do.
No, it's
really.
not normal, and I don't do that at all. Right? Like it wasn't until like, I was sort of forced to by my own book deal to like take a close look at that I did, because I would never have done it otherwise, really. I just, and unlike you, like, I would notice other people not doing the thing that I'm doing, and I'd be like, well, that's dumb. They should obviously be doing this, or whatever. I just would be like, clearly this is better. So
wow,
I remember,
okay.
oh my gosh. So when I worked at a psychology magazine where we would have a draft, sort of like a sports draft for conference sessions. And I would go in with my list of sessions that I wanted to cover. And I would be like, I'm going to cut anyone who tries to take my, dolphin transition session. No one ever freaking wanted this. Like, I never had to fight for my sessions. Like, no one was interested in my topics.
Wow. So I love, and I try to live by the concept of embrace doubt. And it sounds like you're not. It sounds like you don't have to doubt much.
Do you know what else? Okay, so prosopagnosia, if you break down the word, agnosia is like agnostic, like not knowing. And so if you have prosopagnosia, you are an expert in not knowing and living in sort of that gray area.
Mm-hmm. That seems to be a lot of our leaders.
Really? Oh, God, it feels like here in America, it feels like the leaders all think they know everything without even.
That's what I mean. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. We have a real deficit of agnosia, of like accepting that you don't know in the world, where people are just expected to have an opinion on some complicated matter that reasonable people would disagree about. Like, I don't know. I can tell you, like, there's a few things, like there's like 3 things that I feel pretty confident about, but I'm not even that confident about them.
No. And I don't think you should.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, it's a very philosophical thing, but I still think
it's hard to live in uncertainty, though, because, it's just like, how's that actionable? But again, like, if you have a lifetime of experience talking to people and not really knowing who they are, like, that gives you a good foundation for living.
Absolutely. And if you combine that with critical thinking, a respect for science and understanding and learning and all those sorts of things, I think that's where it's good. It's always have doubt, and always have that little bit, but not so much that your brain just falls out your head.
Yeah, I feel like the neurotypical version of me, like, wouldn't have been very nice. I think, like, she would have been like a frat boy, basically.
Your name would have been Scott.
It would have been Scott, and I probably would have been a sex pest. Like,
that's right.
So it's good that I ended up with the challenges I had.
Oh my God.
This is another theory I have, is that in the age of AI, weirdness, human weirdness, is going to be increasingly valuable.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. And in music and in art, AI can just create the crap pop song, or not, I shouldn't say crap, I love pop. The songs that are just everyone likes, it makes them happy and they don't have to think about it. It gives artists a chance to do something strange again, like we did in the late 60s and early 70s.
Yes, yeah. Yeah, I can't remember. I saw something super weird, like on Instagram the other day, and someone wrote, "AI could never," which is like totally true. Yeah, because it's like this truly human weirdness and this lived-in experience is going to be increasingly rare and valuable. So your poor daughter just needs to get through primary school.
That's it, and then we're going to rule the world, Sadie.
Clearly.
The AIs are never going to be able to get to us. They're going to explode when we speak to them. Well, thanks so much for taking all this time to talk to me. It was just, it was awesome. And I knew I was going to have such a great conversation with you just based on the back and forths we had on email.
Me too. Oh, should I say I'm Sadie Dingfelder, and I'm the author of a book called Do I Know You? A Face-Blind Reporter's Journey into the... Wait, oh my God, I forgot my own book title. A face-blind reporter's journey into the science of sight, memory, and imagination. My husband grilled me on this, but this was just proof.
Really?